The first American space hero wasn't human, but a chimpanzee named Ham. The history of the first manned flights into space began back in 1947, when the United States decided to test the effects of space on living organisms using a captured V-2 rocket. Their first experiment was a suborbital flight with fruit flies. The flies returned alive and unharmed in their capsule, which successfully landed with the help of a parachute. The second experiment on the same type of rocket involved a rhesus macaque named Albert, named after Einstein. Unfortunately, Albert did not survive the flight. He died from the combined effects of G-forces and suffocation during the rocket's acceleration. A second attempt was made with another macaque named Albert II. They kept the same name in honor of the scientist. Albert II reached space, but the parachute malfunctioned during landing and the animal died. Similar failures occurred with Albert III, IV, and V. Finally, in September 1951, a macaque named Yorick became the first primate to survive a spaceflight. Yorick returned alive and seemed well, but he died during surgery 3 days later to remove electrodes implanted in his body. Officially, the cause of death was complications from the anesthesia. However, the true pioneer of spaceflight in the United States wasn't Yorick, but a chimpanzee named Ham who flew 10 years later, in January 1961. Ham's flight was specifically designed to simulate the upcoming flight of the first American astronaut, Alan Shepard. Unlike previous animals, Ham wasn't just cargo, he was actively involved in the mission. He sat in his own compartment and had to press specific buttons and switches on a control panel at different stages of the flight, including during acceleration in zero gravity and during re-entry G-forces. Scientists wanted to understand how these forces affect consciousness, brain function, and physical abilities at different stages of space travel. Before the flight, Ham was trained to press specific key combinations on the control panel in response to different light signals. If he made a mistake, he received a mild electric shock as a form of negative reinforcement. However, it was later discovered that due to a technical error, Ham was sometimes shocked, even when he performed the tasks correctly. Despite these challenges, Ham successfully completed the mission. During re-entry, one of the heat shields malfunctioned, causing the cabin temperature to rise to 117 degrees Fahrenheit. Additionally, the landing craft crashed into the ocean 130 miles away from the planned landing site. The impact damaged the capsule, and seawater began to flood Ham's compartment. Fortunately, rescuers arrived just in time and saved him. Following his historic flight, Ham became a national hero. The story of his flight and rescue was widely covered by American media, solidifying his place in history. After his spaceflight career, Ham lived for 17 years at the Smithsonian National Zoological Park in Washington, D.C., later at the North Carolina Zoo. He even made occasional appearances on television and starred in a movie. Ham died on January 19, 1983, at the age of 26. His death was mourned throughout the United States, and he was buried with honors at the National Museum of Space History in New Mexico.